live a whole adult lifetime that wasn't available to your parents and grandparents. Their life expectancy at birth was 50 years. We have 2 lifetimes now. Life 1 is what occurs before halftime, and life 2 comes afterward. Most people have a pretty good plan for life 1, but few can see their way forward into life 2. Life 1 has a multitude of clear role models and consists of fairly simple steps. You grow up somewhere, go to school somewhere, form your own family, and go to work somewhere. Then you retire and you fill in the blank. Halftime is the in-between season that occurs at about age 45 plus or minus a few years, the time I described in my first book. It's the season of now what? In our time, halftime really marks the end of life 1 and the beginning of a whole new second adult season that I've identified as life 2. Halftime used to be the beginning of the end. Now, it is the beginning of a whole new beginning, a season that for me and many others has turned out to be the richest and most meaning-filled season of all. We have few role models for life 2, because until recently we thought of life past the age of 60 as the end of productivity. Regardless of the euphemism used to describe them, these were the senior years, time to head off into senior living, which certainly wasn't thought of as any kind of new beginning, more like the long goodbye. Not long ago, I was invited to speak to a group who ministered to what they called senior adults. In the course of several side conversations, I asked people what was meant by that term, and they weren't quite sure. A banner outside proclaimed, "Over 50." But the exhibits were for hospices and for cruises with happy old folks looking off into the sunset. Displays offered flyers for senior living facilities, what used to be called old folks' homes. But when I asked these eagerly listening individuals how many of them would like to be referred to as seniors, only 4 or 5 hands out of 280 went up, and those were at a tentative half-mast. When I read them the Life 1 sequence with the fill-in-the-blank, a room full of people unanimously and simultaneously finished my sentence, "You retire and you die." The new territory we discover in life 2 is what Magellan and other explorers called terra incognita, or unknown territory, someplace off the map of the known world. We're not sure what's out there. Having listened to hundreds of halftime stories, I can say with some conviction that most people feel this way. An expression I heard verbatim more times than I can count is, "I'm in halftime and I don't have a clue where to go from here." I went through a time when I wasn't sure myself. I faced hard questions I couldn't answer. In order to come to grips with these questions, I did what I've done the last 20 years of my life whenever I didn't know. I went to the mountaintop. I went to see Peter. Peter Drucker is my wisdom figure, my go-to source for understanding. He has over 4 million words in print. Not long ago, The Economist magazine commissioned Peter to write a 27-page section on the next society. They picked a 92-year-old to write about what's next for the world. And if it's good enough for them, it's certainly good enough for me. So in my quest for answers, and filled with anticipation, I went to see him. I found Peter at home in Claremont, California. He lives in a surprisingly unassuming suburban house near the business school at Claremont Graduate University that bears his name. He was relaxed, fit, and characteristically warm and gracious. I had sent a letter ahead to get him thinking, and he was more than ready. "What now, Peter?" I asked. "I'm 64. I still have plenty of gas in the tank. But where to drive?" "The most important thing you're working on is halftime," he began. "You've identified a need, and you've started a lot of people asking the right questions and put them on a quest for significance. Now it's time for you to go find the lessons for what makes the second half of life work. But," he warned me, "don't write a book for old people. Find the lessons for the 45-year-old.